Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to take a actual backup from a robot and bring it into ROBOGUIDE, create a program, very simple program, and then we're going to then place it onto the actual robot to run. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do, and it goes with any time you change something on your robot, is to make an image backup of your robot as well as a file backup of your robot. These things do fail, or it may create some problems that you have to resort back to the original robot before you made the changes. So again, step one is to make a full image backup just in case something happens, and also we will need a file backup as well, and I'll have a link to the video to do a file backup on an actual robot at the top of this screen. So once you do a file backup of your robot, then you need to take that USB and then place it into your computer so that we have access to it. And then what we're going to do in our welcome screen of our ROBOGUIDE, we're going to go New Cell. And let's name our cell whatever we want it to be. So we can go, say, Tester. We'll just call this Tester 2 since I have Tester 3 here. So those are my normal cells that I do that usually will get deleted later on because I'm not really doing anything with them. So I'm just going to call this Tester 2. I'm going to hit next, and then down below, this is where you would go on and then pick the robot, but below here, you're going to see create a new robot from file backup. Let's go click that little icon there. And then now we're going to search for that, and we're going to search in our USB. So here's our USB. And then we need to go into our backup file, and then you will see a .dt file that shows up. So we have the backdate.dt, click that, hit open. So now you will see the folder in which it's backed up in, as well as it's going to grab that .dt file. We're going to go next, and then it's going to show everything that is loaded on the actual teach pendant or the actual robot machine. And then it tells you all about the machine. So we're going to hit finish, and then it's going to start running through the setting up of your robot. Here we go. So it's backing up everything. And now we have our robot, and you'll notice that our tool offset is correct. We just don't have the tool set up because it doesn't know what tool we actually have on it. It just has the offsets on there. So if I wanted to make this an actual cell, I would import the tool that I have on here to match this tool offset, as well as make the cell. So you can see that our robot is on the ground right now. It doesn't matter where you move the robot because everything is based off of machine 0 or robot 0, which has to do with the joint 1 and the lineup of joint 3 in the actual robot. So it doesn't matter where you move your robot. So when you start creating your cell, don't worry about, hey, am I moving the world UCS or am I moving the, jogging and everything else. It doesn't matter where the robot is. So in a later video, I'll actually run through creating an actual cell that looks much like my cell that's in my classroom. So right now we're just getting the basics down. We're going to create a very simple program, and then we're going to transfer that program over to the actual robot to see how it runs. But again, when you bring this in, you'll notice that the robot is the correct type of robot. If we go into our DCS, which is our dual safety check, you'll see that our DCS matches our robot as well. So this is my DCS for my actual robot. You can turn that on and off. Now, if you have DCS set up, then it will show. If you don't have it set up and it's not running, it will probably not show on here as well. You can also go to the programs. Here's all the programs on that teach pendant. So you can see I have a lot of different programs on there because, again, I teach this in my classroom. I will have to wipe this before the next school year, but it does fill up pretty quickly. But you will see all the different programs. We also have, if we go to the teach pendant here, and open up the teach pendant and then go to our registers. So here's our data registers. Here's all the registers that were set up on the actual teach pendant. We can also go to the position registers, and here is all the different position registers that were set up on the machine as well. So they all transfer into RoboGuide so that you can create a program based on these registers. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new program. So I'm going to go to select, and I'm going to go create. I'm going to go options, keyboard, and I'm going to just call this a program to bring over or bring. So a program bring, and I'm going to go edit, and here's my actual program. I'm going to bring in 10 spaces just because I like doing that, and I'm not going to worry about headings at this present point. I'm going to just add the quick items to this. So we're going to go new instruction, and we're going to make sure that our frames are good. So I'm going to go offset frames, and I'm going to use my user frame number 1, which I usually use for world. And then I'm going to go new instruction, and I'm going to go offset frames, utool number 2. There we go. And then I'm going to jump a couple of spaces, and I'm going to save this point as my home. So we just go add move point, and here's going to be position number 1. And we'll just do a quick movement here. So bring it down, and we'll just do a linear movement. And then we're going to jump back to the beginning. There we go. So now if I run this, and there we go. So now our robot is now set. Now we need to bring this over. We're going to do a file backup of our teach pendant in virtual space or in RoboGuide. So we're going to go through the exact same process. We're going to go to menu, and my robot's in the exact same home position as it is on my actual robot. And I'm going to go to file, file, and then I'm going to change my utility. So I'm going to go set device, and I'm going to go say USB on teach pendant. Again, it really doesn't matter which one you pick because it's going to put it into a folder. Okay, and then I'm going to create a directory on there. So make directory, options, keyboard, and I'm going to go virtual to real. Yeah, I'm actually going to just do the underscore. Exit. So now I have virtual to real under teach pendant, and then I'm going to go to backup, and I'm going to go all the above just to make a full backup. And it's going to ask you, do you want to delete anything that's in that folder? Well, there's nothing in that folder since I created it. So I'm going to go yes. And it's going to start making a file backup of our object. There we go. So now that I have the file backup, let's go to that actual folder where it's being housed. So let's go to the file, and then we're going to go explore folder, and I'm going to find my work cell, and I'm going to go to robot 1, and then I put it under UT1, and there's our directory, virtual to real. So I'm going to go inside here, and I'm going to pull out just a few of our files. We only can transfer over certain types of files. We cannot transfer over any system files. It will give us an error and it will not work. So the main files we can transfer over are IO files. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder inside here. So there's our new folder. And we call this transfer over. And I'm going to grab the necessary files to transfer over. So the first one I want to transfer over is the IO. So I'm going to go I, or it'll be under DIO. So if I search DIO, there's my DIO. So I copy that, arrow back up, go back to the top, transfer over, and I'm going to paste it into that folder. So the next thing I can bring in is my registers, and that's going to be under num registers. So if I go num and search, there's my number registers. I'm going to copy that, arrow back up, and then I'm going to hit home, bring me back to the top, and I'm going to paste that inside here. The next thing is going to be my position registers. So let's grab our position registers. So I'm going to go position. There's my position registers. Copy, arrow back up, and I'm going to hit home, transfer over, paste. Next one is going to be the tool frames and user frames. So I'm going to go arrow up, and my tool frames and user frames that I'm going to bring over, and that's going to be considered system frames. So here's system frame. So I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to hit home, bring me up to the top, and then we paste that inside here. And then we need our other frame setup information that is associated with our frame. So I'm going to arrow up again, and those are going to be under frame variables. So I'm going to search there, and there's my frame variable. And then any teach pendant files that I want to bring over. Now I just created that one teach pendant, which is a program to bring over. So I'm going to arrow up. So I'm going to go the name, so program, and then here's my teach pendant file, TP file. Copy that, arrow up, and then I paste it into my transfer over. Okay, so now technically I can bring any of these 6 items or more items over to my real robot. Now, if you didn't change anything in the position registers or the user frames or the tool frames, then all you really need to do is bring over the newly created file that you did in virtual space. Again, big note. Before you do this, before you do any transferring over to your actual robot, make sure you have an up-to-date image of your robot just in case things don't go as planned. I've done this a couple times, and out of these transfers, it has failed a couple times to the point where I had to actually bring back the image. And if I did not have that image, then I'll be in a world of hurt. So again, please make sure that you have a full up-to-date image of your real robot before you do any sort of transferring from ROBOGUIDE to your actual robot. Okay, so now that I have these files here, okay, so now I'm going to either take this folder or I'm going to take the entire folder inside here, so virtual to real. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it onto my USB that I use for my actual robot. So I'm going to paste that entire folder inside here. Okay, so I'm going to paste that folder inside, and you can see I have my backup files as well as my backup image just in case things go awry or things don't work out the way that we thought it was going to work out. Okay, so now I have my folder of this on my USB stick. And inside there, you can see I have my transfer over folder that has the allowed items that can transfer over. So any teach pendant file can transfer over, as well as these other 5 files. No system files can transfer over. Again, you will get massive amount of errors if you do that. So I'm going to take out my USB here, and I'm going to put it into my actual teach pendant. Okay, so I have my USB. So I have my USB in my actual teach pendant now. And now we're going to do the transfer or the file backup from that folder inside here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn off our robot. We're going to hold down previous and next on our teach pendant, and then we're going to fire it back up. And once this screen pops up, then we can release the previous and next. So from here we have our configuration menu, and we're going to go to Control Start. So we're going to go 3 for Control Start and then hit Enter. So it's going to do a Control Start. So once we're to this screen, then we're going to go to Menu, and we're going to go down to File, Enter, and then we're going to set our directory to the correct directory. So we're going to go Utility, and we're going to go to Set Device, and we're using the USB on Teach Pendant. Okay. So now we're USB Teach Pendant. Then we're going to go to Directory, and we're going to arrow all the way over until we see Directories. So we're going to go to Directories, Enter, and now you'll see the directories underneath there. We have our LRmate backup file as well as our virtual to real folder. So let's enter into that. So there is our virtual to real, and now we have inside that folder we have the transfer over folder. So let's enter into that. So once we are in those two folders, then we're going to go down to all files. I'm going to hit enter on that, and now you'll see we have our 6 files that we transferred over. Now again, if you didn't change anything on the actual robot, the only thing you really need to transfer over is the Teach Pendant program. So here's our Teach Pendant program. So once you're on there, you can go load. So I'm going to go load. So F3 with the load. It says load, transfer over, yes, so it's now loaded. Okay, now if you want to transfer the rest of the items over, all you do is you arrow down, for example, the digital ins and outs, you just go load, and it says load that, yes, so it's loading. Okay, then the next thing is going to be the frame variables. So I'm going to load into, yes. Do you want to convert? Yes. Okay, so then it's loading. Then I'm going to go down to the numerical registers. I'm going to go load, yes. Convert, yes. Position registers, load. Do you want to load this? Yes. Convert, yes. System variables, load, yes. Convert, yes. So now I have everything loaded in. Again, if I didn't change any of the variables, any of the position registers, any of the numerical values, then all you have to do is bring in the Teach Pendant file that you made. Okay, but I just went through all of them just to show you that you can bring them all in, and it should, in theory, still work. So we're going to go to now function key. So down here, we're going to go to the function key, and then we're going to go to Start Cold. Then it's going to restart our Teach Pendant with our new files loaded on them. And there we go. Let's just make sure that we don't have any errors. Okay, so right now I just have the dead man switch. So if I go to my program here, I'm going to shift and hold the dead man switch and reset. And if I release everything, the dead man switch should pop up. So that's good. Let's go to menu and see if there's any other errors that popped up. So I'm going to go down to alarms, and then we have alarm log. So there's our alarm log. Again, that's good. Dead man switch is released. So we're good on those type of errors. So now let's actually run the program to see if it transferred over properly. So let's go down to select, and then let's find the program that we created. So it was under the A's. And there it is, a program bring. Enter on it, and then should have our user frames as well as our tool frames. And then we have our joint movements as well as our linear movements all set up. And let's actually run this and see how it works. So I'm going to go shift, reset, And I'm going to run it on a slow speed just to make sure everything is working the way it's supposed to. And I'm going to go forward. And it's looking like everything is all good at 10% speed. So let's kick it up in speed then. Let's go to 100% and we'll run. There we go. There's our program. And let's see it running next to the actual robot. So if I run file here, there we go. So that's how we transfer a file from our actual robot to the virtual space, and then from the virtual space to our actual robot. Again, big notes is to make sure that you have a full image backup before you change anything on the robot or in the virtual space, just in case things do again go awry, because they do go awry every so often, or things or programs do not work the way it's supposed to. It is kind of a finicky thing going from RoboGuide to your actual robot.